I wanted to ask, is it weird to go into a football season with multiple rooting interests outside your own team? Like, of course I'm going into the season like, go Niners, but based on circumstance and players moving and documentaries, I feel like there's multiple things I'm sort of rooting for.
I don't think it's weird at all. I mean, it's a soap opera. That's what you tune in for. There's always a story. There's always something else going on that's not related to your team necessarily. When it comes to your team, you're excited for the season to begin, for your routine, for your rooting interest. Everything else is just the drama that pulls you in.
But I'm saying usually you'll be like, hey, if you're a Broncos fan, you're thinking to yourself, well, I just care about the Broncos winning. What do I care about other teams? Go Broncos, Bronco country. That's right. But I feel like there's 4 storylines I've already gravitated towards.
Really? 4?
Yeah, I was thinking about, like, what do I want to see?
Let's hear Rich's top 4.
And I don't know why. I just thought of these.
Can I guess at least one of them?
Yeah.
How the whole Aaron Rodgers thing plays out has to be one of them, no?
Oh, I even saw, like, people on this network arguing about, they're not a playoff team. Other people think they're going to win 12 games. So I think Aaron Rodgers and how that sort of unfolds and unfurls in New York. I think Kirk Cousins, people are predicting that to be an under 500 team. And after sort of falling in love with him and his family on quarterback, I'm like, I'm sort of rooting for this guy to do well.
I think it builds further intrigue and further rooting interest on how he delivers. I think we like him as a guy, especially after watching the show, and he's a swell fella. Yeah, I'm curious to see. That's your top 4, though?
No, I got more.
Okay.
A lot of times, first-round draft picks end up on terrible teams that have no chance. I think Bryce Young in a bad division could be the first time in a while where a young quarterback comes in. Could that team win that division? I mean, Danny, your old dude Derek Carr is on the Saints. That might be their stiffest competition.
I mean, I know it's just camp right now, and we're not even deep into camp, but all the signs are pointing to Bryce Young blowing things up in a good way for the Panthers.
We've sort of adjusted to all right, let's curb our enthusiasm and expectations. Young quarterbacks that are great go to bad teams. That's how the team got him. They were bad enough to get him. But I think that division is so meager that I think Bryce Young, I'm curious to see how this kid plays.
Definitely high interest there for sure.
And I'm watching these highlights. I know it's just camp, but I know Danny gets pumped seeing Jimmy G throwing darts and bombs all over the field. Devontae Adams and Jimmy Garoppolo seem to be getting along. And for a team that some are saying is going to, win 3 or 4 games, I would love for them to say F you to the whole broadcasting world that's doubting them. Jimmy G's a winner. He's a fun guy to root for. And if you don't have a rooting interest in the AFC, because I don't, I'm a Niners fan, Danny, I'm going to be pulling very hard for Jimmy and the Raiders. That's going to be a fun team to root for.
Won't be the first time he pulls hard for Jimmy G. Rich talks about him every week. Now,
remember when you met Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
I had to let the cat out the bag.
Brock!
Like, I'm all about Purdy on the radio. I talk about you all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but he used to talk about Jimmy G all the time before you.
Jimmy G, yeah.
All the time. Jimmy G.
Yeah. So, hey.
Wait, hold on. You know a storyline you left out that I thought would be of great intrigue? How Russell Wilson improves this year, how that team improves. I mean, he turned around at the end of the season, but is it a full-on turnaround season?
I mean,
is a coach worth that much?
Yes.
Can a coach do that much that fast?
I thought that would be in your top 4.
You know what?
For sure.
See, there's even more than 4.
Yeah, it just proves there's like 10 major storylines to pay attention to.
There really is. And there's to answer your original question, I don't think there's any shame in like having other rooting interests. I think that's the fun of it. I think most fans, although their primary rooting interest is just their team, all of those things build up the season and build up the fun for you as a fan.
And then I wanted to ask you a question based on storylines as we get into the NFL. I talked to you about this earlier when I hit you up. I said,
honestly, I think my favorite is the Aaron Rodgers storyline, though, just to see where it goes. Arguably, actually, undoubtedly, undoubtedly, their greatest quarterback of all time. How is this going to work out? I know you
How
probably.
dare you say that about Vinny Testaverde?
No. I
How
mean,
dare
'cause
Chad Pennington's getting very angry right now.
I don't care about the team struggling. You could think about Joe Namath, right? Great quarterback.
Tony
But
Eason would not like this conversation.
Aaron Rodgers, by far the greatest quarterback the franchise has ever had. So it's like, well, how's this all going to work out?
Brett Favre.
Very excited to see that.
So
Yeah, but I don't think Favre had the juice that Aaron Rodgers
At the time,
has
yeah, he
at
was-
this stage of his career.
I agree. So I ask you this: in any industry in which you work, it's usually in bad taste to just insult someone else just to make your point, right? Like, I'll be honest, I listen to other sports talk radio and talk radio on Fox, ESPN, CBS, SiriusXM, and there's times I hear a show and I think it's trash. Like,
Hot Basura.
But I don't.
Oh,
come,
that show, that podcast?
Oh yeah, Hot Basura.
Hot Basura, that's a good one.
I don't come
Ramos,
on.
you ever hear that show? Yeah.
Sounds good, though.
Every once in a while I'll hear it. I'm like, what hot trash is this?
Man, no, I'll hear shows and I'm like, man, someone pays them, huh? But I
Again,
would
it's all
never-
subjective. Some people may even say that about us.
I'm sure they
But
do.
everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion,
Dude,
so carry
there-
on.
You know, there's people that hate Dan Patrick, which sounds impossible. There's
Right.
people that hate Stephen A. or Colin or the best in the game.
Why don't you talk about sports?
Yeah, we get those tweets all the time. It's like, slow down there, Tony Reale, stat boy.
It's always some guy named Bart.
Some guy that
right,
looks like you
Bart.
would never leave your kids alone with.
You guys would be good if you didn't insert yourselves into every story.
That is true. Yeah.
Someone said that. I'm like, it's my show, you bozo.
next time incorporate Doug Gottlieb for no reason.
Yeah. So, while I do think there are shows that are hot trash, and there's people that just aren't very good, and that's just like, even if I go to a restaurant, I'm like, yeah, this restaurant stinks. You go out with the wifey for a dinner, and you're like, oh, we chose our date night. Oh, bad restaurant. I enjoy the company, but I'm not the guy that then goes and personally exploits them. Like, if I came on the air and I was like, you know what really stinks? And I named the show. Or if I said, this restaurant, garbage. I feel like that's in bad taste. Be polite. Like,
The only time I do it, can I be honest then? Because I can't say I'm Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect here. The only time I do this, but deliberately, is when an airline screws me over. And I want everybody to know until they make it right. That's what I call them.
Like
out.
LeVar Arrington with Delta the other day.
I feel that because you know what? Sometimes you have to be that squeaky wheel to get what you deserve in that situation. You have to go to social media. You
Yeah.
have to complain.
Airlines exception. You're right. Remember when I took Frontier and I was like, "Am I on Soul Plane? What is it?"
And you know what? you try to take the peaceful route. You try to call them up, and they don't make it right. So then what do? You're like, well, then I guess I'm going to social media,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make a little statement here.
Right, because if nobody says anything at all, then it just will continue on, and then it'll just someone has to start the old ball rolling.
Yep.
So Ramos, my long buildup was just because I want to know if you think it's in bad taste that Sean Payton, new head coach of the Broncos, pretty much said Nathaniel Hackett is the worst head coach ever in the NFL. He said that what went down in Denver last year was disgraceful, embarrassing, and pretty much said worst coaching job ever. Now this guy's now with Aaron Rodgers, coordinating in New York. He's probably thinking, yeah, that my little Denver stint didn't go as planned.
I mean,
But
maybe
does he need Sean Payton like throwing him under the bus to that level?
I do think it's a bad taste. I do. He could have focused on what they're going to do to improve this year. Talk about how maybe it was just a fluke that they had a bad season. You don't have to put down other people to boost yourself up. So back to your original point, yeah, I do think it's a bad taste. Unless, of course, they have some prior sort of beef that I don't know about, and there's bad blood there, so therefore he doesn't care. I'm okay with that. I love some juice. I love some drama.
Or he's still in his hot take groove because he was a guest on The Herd, remember, while he was
true.
in between jobs.
Oh, maybe that's it. If it bleeds, it leads. And he's like, you know what? I'm going for the clout, for the clicks. Yeah, I'll just throw out a nice headline for the world to dive into.
Speaking to USA Today, Sean Payton said Nathaniel Hackett turned in, quote, one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the National Football League. Nathaniel Hackett tried to sleep with his wife or something?
Yeah.
Did he steal his high school
They
sweetheart?
might have history that we don't know about. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like bad history, I
There's
should
got
say.
to be. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure someone could dig and figure out why, but Payton pointed out that Hackett wasn't solely responsible, saying that the organization was embarrassing. I mean, now he's in this organization pretty much saying, like, I'm here to save the day.
But you could say all that without throwing him under the bus, like you said. So I agree with you.
Saying that last year the Broncos organization wasted way too much time with the pomp and circumstance, marching people around the facility, saying, hey, we got Russell Wilson, we got Nathaniel Hackett, and pretty much saying like they just sucked at football itself.
I think it's a great takeaway. You know, people are always going to question you at the office or whatever you do professionally, and they may often bring up the competition. You don't need to dump on the competition to boost yourself up. That could be in a relationship. You may have yourself in a little bit of a love triangle right now. It makes you look ugly. It makes you look worse when you lead with the put down as opposed to just selling yourself. So unnecessary. Agreed.
Yeah, no, I just
but fun. Hey, man, like I said, as just a
when
spectator.
when I see headlines like that, I'm like, ooh, juicy.
Yeah,
good.
as a spectator.
Great to mention.
Ooh, yeah, I
yeah.
like it. But, I mean, when you ask the question, when you pose it that way, yeah, it's not needed.
And as you guys know, Hackett is with Robert Saleh now. And, of course, the media made sure to ask Saleh about it today if you want to hear.
I'm
not going to acknowledge Sean. Well, I'm not going to acknowledge Sean on that. He's been in the league a while. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But as far as, what we have going on here, I kind of live by saying if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping.
If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping.
I like that. But just playing devil's advocate here for the flip side of the angle. It is competition. It is sports. It is a battle, right? This is a battle. You're playing football. You're competing at the highest level.
You're playing for your money, your career.
So I think of that when I think of battling. I think of the fight game, and it's no holds barred. They're always talking trash. This guy's a chump. He sucks. His camp sucks. His training sucks. His corner sucks. He's soft, and that's why I'm going to whoop his ass.
And then after the fight, they hug it out.
Yeah, when you look at it that way from the sense of take personal out of it and you think it's just competition, then you could say, all right, well, it's football. I get it. They're grown men.
Is there something to be said that we have
but
just become more polite over the years with these type of things? Because if you watch Cool Under Pressure, the Joe Montana documentary, him and Steve Young openly talked about how they were better than the other person and deserved to start. You don't hear that anymore. Like if there's a quarterback controversy, imagine if the quarterbacks talked to the press and said, I deserve to start. I'm better than that guy. That just doesn't exist anymore. So maybe Sean Payton is taking it a little old school, saying Nathaniel Hackett, worst coaching performance in the history of the NFL. But you know what it makes me do, Danny G? It makes me circle Sunday, October 8th.
Yeah.
When the New York Jets go to Denver, Colorado, and we'll get to see what Nathaniel Hackett cooks up on offense with Aaron Rodgers to face Sean Payton. So now you have just another game.
Another storyline.
Which is the NFL strength. Like,